Tonight on Ctv3 News, investigation into the death of Anthony Lewis remains open. The Commissioner of Police says the department could be looking at a case of self-defense. 22-year-old charged with arson after $475,000 luxury vehicle blaze in Belize City. China faces surge in human metapneumovirus infections. Concerns rise for global health impact. And we bring you an update on the 2024-2025 crop season. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Friday, January 3rd, 2025.
The New World screwworm is a serious threat to livestock, pets, wildlife, and even humans. It begins when a female fly lays her eggs in a wound or mucous membranes of a live, warm-blooded animal. These eggs hatch into larvae that burrow into the flesh and feed on living tissue, causing severe damage if left untreated.
Monitoring your animals regularly is key. Check your livestock and pets for any wounds. No matter how small, even something as tiny as a tick bite can attract New World screwworm flies.
Clean and treat all wounds immediately. Keep them covered and monitor them for any signs of infection or larva. Early treatment is critical to stopping screwworm infestations. If you suspect an infestation, notify your local authority, PAHA, BLPA, or the Ministry of Agriculture right away. Quick action can prevent the spread and protect your livestock and community.
Together, we can protect our livestock industry by preventing New World screwworm from entering Belize. Stay vigilant, treat wounds, and report any signs to the proper authorities. Stay informed, stay protected.
And good evening, with your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Anthony Lewis, a resident of Corozal, was found dead on Sunday, December 22nd at a residence on G Street, Corozal Town. Lewis, who was out on bail awaiting trial for an alleged sexual assault involving a minor, was allegedly discovered with his hands and feet bound and has sustained fatal head injuries. Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP Alberto Romero, Regional Commander of Eastern Division, reported that Lewis was involved in a confrontation with members of the household where his body was found. During the altercation, a struggle ensued, leading to the injuries Lewis sustained. ACP Romero noted that Lewis had no lawful reason to be at the property and confirmed reports that the household members claimed they acted in self-defense. According to Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, the matter remains under investigation and the case file has been forwarded to the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, for further directives.
I am not the arbiter of that, and I have said to your I think it was you who interviewed me. No, it was Jo Marie, and I had said to her that when an issue of self-defense is raised in any death investigation, it is not the police who determine the charges; it's the DPP office, and so we have sent that file to the DPP for instructions on that matter, and we await that. Bear in mind, though, that if a person comes into your home, and when you get there, you're attacked by that person, the law do give you some leverage that you can protect yourself and your home. I'm sure that those are things that the DPP or the DPP rep is going to take into consideration in determining that matter. This person was already charged with carnality against your child. You come home, you find him in your home with your same child. What would be your response? How would you deal with it? And if there's a scuffle and he end up getting injured and died, I don't see how the person could be held to accountable for that, no.
Lewis, who was awaiting trial in the High Court on charges of sexual assault, had been granted bail at the time of his death. 22-year-old construction worker Manuel Anthony Morales has been remanded to prison after being charged with 3 counts of arson related to the destruction of 3 luxury vehicles in Belize City, valued at over $475,000. Morales, a resident of Sand Hill Village, appeared before Chief Magistrate Jayini Wagadopola in Court Number 1, where the charges were read. The allegations state that on Sunday, December 22, 2024, Morales and others intentionally set fire to a 2022 black Cadillac Escalade valued at $250,000 and a 2023 gray Audi Q7 valued at $150,000, both owned by Bob Hutchandani. A 2024 brown Chevy Silverado valued at $85,000, owned by Sanjay Hutchandani, was also torched. The vehicles were parked in front of the Hutchandani residence at number 132 Barak Road when the incident occurred. During the arraignment, the prosecutor objected to bail, citing the seriousness of the crime, the high value of the damages, and the strength of the prosecution's case, which includes surveillance footage. The prosecutor also argued that Morales poses a flight risk and could interfere with ongoing investigations. Additionally, there are safety concerns as others believed to be involved in the arson might harm him to prevent further disclosures. Chief Magistrate Wagadopola upheld the objectives, denying bail to Morales. He was remanded to the Belize Central Prison and is set to reappear in court on January 28, 2025. Police investigations revealed that on December 22nd at approximately 4:55 a.m., 3 men arrived at the Hutchandani residence via a small boat. Surveillance footage allegedly shows the men pouring a liquid substance onto the vehicles before setting them ablaze. They then fled in the same boat heading towards Golden Bay. The fire, which destroyed the vehicles, was extinguished by personnel from the National Fire Service. While the Cadillac Escalade and Audi Q7 were comprehensively insured, the Chevy Silverado had only third-party insurance. Morales was apprehended shortly after the incident and has remained in police custody since. Investigations into the involvement of other suspects are ongoing. In a recent court hearing, Chief Magistrate Jayani Wagadopola granted bail to Egbert Gill, a resident of Santa Barbara Street in Belize City, who has been charged with aggravated assault. Gill was released on a bail of $1,500 along with a surety of the same amount after the prosecution did not object to his release. Gill faces allegations of using a knife to assault another individual. In light of the serious nature of the charge, the court has imposed strict bail conditions that Gill must adhere to during the legal proceedings. These conditions include a prohibition on contacting the virtual complainant or any family members associated with the case. Additionally, Gill is required to refrain from engaging in any further criminal activity throughout the duration of his bail period. Chief Magistrate Wagadopola made it clear that any failure to comply with these conditions would result in the immediate revocation of his bail, potentially leading to his incarceration at the Belize Central Prison. Gill is set to return to court on February 28, 2025 to continue the proceedings of his case. In a significant move towards enhancing public safety, the Belize Police Department has bolstered its operational capacity over the past 4 years thanks to increased financial allocations from the Ministry of Home Affairs. This strategic investment aims to address the rising challenges posed by criminal elements as the country continues to develop and expand. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams addressed the media a few days ago regarding the ongoing efforts and the future planning of the department, emphasizing the need for adequate funding to effectively tackle emergencies, conduct thorough investigations, and ensure a safer environment for both residents and visitors.
Well, certainly we are yeah, man, we are in the process of preparing our budget. I think we have completed the process, and I have said to my FOs and my commanders that we must ensure that the budget reflects what we need. If it is that what we submitted is not approved, which happens every year, we don't normally get what we submitted, then we would be in a position down the road to say to the Ministry of Finance, we had applied in our budget for this, but we did not get it, but we need it. And certainly they're going to find a way to get it for us. We have in our policing plans for 2025, we have a number of operations that we want to carry out. We also have the northern operations, which now becomes a permanent feature of our routine policing efforts. And again, you would know that northern operations has been financed through supplementary budgets. We don't want next year we have to do supplementary budgets for the northern operations. We want that to be embedded into our recurrent budget. So with the northern operations and the local operations that we want to do to be able to address the crime issue, the increase in police officers, the increase in police stations, because we have police station now in Santa Elena, which was not before. We have another police station in Dangriga. We're going to open a police station in Kontiki. We're opening a police station in Orange Walk, Trial Farm. So with these new decentralized locations of police, it is certainly going to call for more money. And so those are going to be reflected into our budget. Likewise, our fleet, some of our vehicles are already dilapidated and needs to be changed. So we're also including in our budget monies to be able to purchase vehicles in next financial year.
The Belize Police Department has already made strides in improving its capabilities, focusing on the acquisition of new vehicles and equipment. This enhancement is expected to facilitate quicker response times to emergencies and allow officers to perform their duties more efficiently. China is currently witnessing a rise in human metapneumovirus (HMPV) infections, sparking concerns of another health crisis after the COVID-19 pandemic. Reports and online discussions indicate widespread transmission, with some alleging that hospitals being overwhelmed as more cases emerge. The Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has reportedly observed an uptick in HMPV positive cases, particularly among children ages 14 and under. Now, while concerns have been flaring about this situation, neither Chinese health authorities nor the World Health Organization, WHO, have validated claims of an epidemic or emergency declaration at this time. Although that situation is happening thousands of miles away, Belizeans have also begun to express concern, and today, local expert Dr. Marvin Manzanero also spoke on this situation, adding that while this has not been validated as a potential threat, Belizeans should always be cautious at all times.
Well, what the notes I have been seeing, and I know they had put out an initial alert last week Friday, was that they were starting to see an increasing number of an influenza virus, one of the routine ones that we see every year. Of course, every virus mutates differently every season, and that's why you need a flu shot every year. So that has been alerted because of the amount of cases that you have. Remember, again, most patients are not required to be inside the hospital, but once you start having chronic conditions, pediatric cases, then that's when you need to be seen in the hospital. So I don't know that there is any new virus that has been reported, but once you start having a significant amount of the population being affected, then that's when your hospital can become overwhelmed. And that aside from whatever is happening in China, I think we always have to be on the alert because there can be a potentially new mutation happening.
Coming up next, 2024-2025 sugarcane season faces major setbacks due to inclement weather and poor road conditions. Stay tuned.
El gusano barrenador del Nuevo Mundo representa una amenaza importante para el ganado, las mascotas y los seres humanos. Puede provocar graves pérdidas si no se controla rápidamente. Actualmente no está presente en Belice. Es por eso que la detección temprana es crucial para evitar su propagación. Ayudemos a mantenerlo fuera. No traiga animales de otros países ilegalmente. Si nota gusaneras en heridas inusuales, infórmelo de inmediato. Llame a Baja al 824-4872 o envíe un mensaje de texto al 670-7003. Juntos podemos trabajar para mantener a nuestro país libre del gusano barrenador del Nuevo Mundo y salvar animales. Este mensaje es presentado por Baja, OIRSA, IICA, USDA y el Ministerio de Agricultura, Seguridad Alimentaria y Empresas.
Today marks exactly 1 week since the start of the 2024-2025 sugarcane crop season here in the north, and so far the industry is reporting a tough few days, mainly due to inclement weather and the bad condition of sugar roads. For the past few days, the mill has been unable to meet its target of 7,000 tons of sugar milled, as there is simply not enough cane supply coming into the mill. So far, the mill has had to close down once due to a lack of cane, and while the mill is now back up and running, the low supply continues as weather conditions worsens. Chairman of the Sugar Industry Control Board, SICB, says the worst case scenario and most likely to occur is a stop in the grinding season to allow.
Okay, Mr. Marcos, I know that the new crop season began a week ago. If you are able to just talk to us about how that has been going thus far.
Yes, yes. And do I start now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the crop started on the 27th of December. Deliveries, fleet deliveries resumed until almost midday because there was a slow supply of steam in day one. And then it progressed like that. Very low supply.
A second stop may also be looming in the coming hours, according to Osorio, as farmers are simply not able to burn and prepare their cane for delivery amidst the rains.
Well, if farmers are unable to set fire on their fields, it is likely because at this time we might, between tonight and maybe early tomorrow, we might have the last amount of things that were already burned prior to the rain that will be delivered. I think whoever still have might be loading their last load of cane. Thereafter, farmers are unable to burn because there has been some third showers. So if there is not possibility to set fire, then the supply we will run out of steam there. So if weather continues this way, we might see tomorrow or tonight.
Okay.
The other issue impeding farmers from delivering their cane has been the condition of sugar roads where works have been halted due to inclement weather. The hope, according to Osorio, is for improved weather conditions which will allow for works to resume in areas which are most affected.
But the rains have been off and on, and it is not possible to do any repairs on wet conditions. And even if the constructors do it would simply worsen the situation. So, in order to get a good job done, it's better to wait until the conditions are favorable. So we are hoping for improvement on the weather conditions, and then for the sugar roads to be repaired, and that we can get a better restart of the crop.
As we reported yesterday, the Belize Police Department underwent an overhaul of its approach to gender-based violence at the start of 2025. The Domestic Violence Unit is now the Gender-Based Violence Response and Investigative Unit, GVRIU. The unit will now focus on addressing sexual violence, human trafficking, and other gender-based abuses. Today, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams pointed out that this comes as an effort to be a more inclusive unit.
We have had the domestic violence unit in place for quite a number of years now. And with the evolving of time, we saw the need to change the name from domestic violence to gender-based violence response and investigation unit. At the end of the day, we have to look beyond the domestic issue in terms of what happens in a home between a man, woman, and child, and see how we can encapsulate those other factors where gender violence is concerned. And so the unit is now going to be tasked with that responsibility of making sure that we can capture everybody.
And in order to better tackle the issue of gender-based violence, further training will be provided to members of the unit.
Well, again, we have to look at training, extensive training. Again, with the change of focus or with the additional responsibility given to the unit now, there certainly is going to be a need for more training for the officers who work within the unit. And not just those officers, but every police officer, so they can understand the dynamism of gender-based violence.
Belizeans across the country have seen an increase in stomach-related issues over the past couple of weeks. Over the holidays, the cases of vomiting and diarrhea saw a sharp increase, and so if you haven't gotten a stomach bug recently, you probably know someone who has. Local medical experts have suggested that the recent increase in gastrointestinal illnesses are linked to the norovirus, which is commonly seen during the colder months. With this situation expected to continue, we spoke to Dr. Marvin Manzanero, who shared some of what he has been seeing in the outpatient setting and what we can do to fight the stomach bug and keep healthy.
Yeah, Marisol, this can be, I can't say for certain that is it, simply because we are not doing the actual stool sampling, right? We are only managing patients based on the signs and symptoms that are coming up on them. But one of the reasons why we can think of norovirus is because that's called a winter gastrointestinal virus, the NOVAC virus that usually will give the signs and symptoms we are seeing in the outpatient department now.
Dr. Manzanero also spoke about some of the symptoms you should look out for and when to seek medical help, particularly in cases with children and the elderly.
Well, since you're normally going to have symptoms 12 to 48 hours after you have gotten exposed to the virus, most of the time patients are going to complain of nausea, vomiting, the usual gastrointestinal symptoms, and you will give them symptomatic treatment. It's only patients that are going beyond the 48-hour period and who are usually, as I said, pediatric or chronic patients that will maybe require further evaluation and
Important to remember is that you or a loved one catches the bug. The best thing to do is to stay hydrated while it runs its course. Children and older persons may, however, need to go to a hospital. Also prevalent in health facilities across the country during this time is upper respiratory tract infections, which seems to be affecting Belizeans of all ages. These cases, according to Dr. Marvin Manzanero, range from mild cases involving the common symptoms of influenza to more severe cases of pneumonia. Like any other infectious disease, Dr. Manzanero says the best way to stay healthy is to practice healthy hygiene, especially when in large crowds.
Phlegm can be one of the things we're going to monitor. So initially you might be having a transparent or a clear phlegm. So we ask patients to monitor that, to look for if it changes color to green, yellow, brown, that's one of the symptoms we may be on the lookout for. Of course, coupled with other situations, if you're breathing difficulty, if you have fever, general malaise beyond the usual 2 days, when you expect that to have taken its course. If it's more viscous, I'm not so sure that that is a factor that we look for, because that might also have to do with a level of hydration that patients have. And patients may actually smile or laugh when I tell them that one of the best cough medications that you can use is actually water, because that kind of dilutes the phlegm that you have inside. So one of the best cough medications you can have is just actually drinking a lot of water.
Okay, what about?
As we told you before, Nicaraguan Dr. Carlos Saborio Cose has been charged with administering noxious substances after a man claimed he was drugged by him. According to reports, on November 30th, a Venezuelan nurse was drinking with Cose at Little John's restaurant in Belize City. When the nurse momentarily left his drink unattended at the bar, he alleges that Cose slipped an unknown substance into it. The nurse recalls entering the doctor's car and then waking up at home on December 2nd. Police charged Cose based on surveillance footage from the restaurant. The nurse underwent a medical examination which revealed no signs of sexual assault. Cose, who was arrested at his home on Tuesday evening, maintains his innocence. Today, the Compol updated media on the case.
That's a very complex issue. I know that there is some allegations of blackmail being involved in the whole issue. I'm not sure if a report was made to the police officially, but the attorney for the doctor did reach out to me and had sent me some information to suggest that indeed there was some element of blackmail in that whole situation. And so the police is going to look at it if an official complaint is made, and then we see how we go from there.
And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
The New World screwworm poses a significant threat to livestock, pets, and humans. It can cause severe losses if not controlled quickly. Currently, it is not present in Belize. That is why early detection is crucial to prevent its spread. Let us help to keep it out. Don't bring animals from other countries illegally. If you notice maggots, larvae, or worms in unusual wounds, report them immediately. Call Baja at 824-4872 or text 670-7003. Together we can work to keep our country safe from the New World screwworm and save animals. This message was brought to you by Baja, OIRSA, AICA, USDA, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, and Enterprise.
The prestigious Order of the British Empire, OBE, will be awarded to former Lands Commissioner and NEMO Coordinator Philippa Noreen Fairweather for her outstanding contributions to community and public service. Her tireless efforts have left an indelible mark, inspiring others to uplift their communities through selfless service. In addition, 4 Belizeans will receive Member of the British Empire, MBE, for their exceptional impact in their respective areas. Dr. Marcelino Avila, who currently serves on the Board of Trustees for Galen University, has previously held the role of Senior Policy Advisor in the Office of the Prime Minister and will be honored for his contributions to public service. Gregoria Aragon and Lucilo Enrique Alcacer will be honored for their service to the community and contribution to the music industry, respectively. Rudolph Bernard Coyi will be recognized for his distinguished service in the tourism industry. Those awards underscore the extraordinary talents and dedication of Belizeans who have gone above and beyond in their fields, setting an example for others to follow. The 2025 New Year honors serve as a reminder of the power of service and the profound difference one individual can make in the lives of many. Belizean American gymnastics superstar Simone Biles is Sports Illustrated's newest sports person of the year, the magazine announced Thursday. The win follows Biles' historic career comeback and gold medal winning performance at the 2024 Paris Olympics. I don't think the reality has set in of what I've exactly done in the sport, Biles told the magazine. I can see it and I can hear it from people and I see a glimpse of it, but the full magnitude I don't think I've realized just yet. Biles is the first Olympian to earn the honor since LeBron James in 2012. Biles subsequently returned to the top of the world stage in 2024, bouncing back after a bout of the twisties derailed her 2021 Tokyo Olympics run. In Paris, Biles became the first gymnast to win 2 all-around titles in non-consecutive Olympic Games 2016 and 2024. She also took gold in the team and vault events as well as silver in the floor event. With 11 Olympic and 30 World Championship medals, Biles is the most decorated gymnast in history. While Biles hasn't fully ruled out another trip to the mat, the 27-year-old isn't interested in discussing a potential LA 2028 campaign just yet. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Monday, January 6th here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, have a safe and pleasant weekend. Thank you for watching and listening. Good night.